But let me talk about what I would be looking for and collaborating with my client for in terms of trauma, because Pierre Genet, who's one of my heroes, he died in 1947, but in 1898, he said trauma treatment should really be composed of three interrelated stages: stabilization, work with memory, and then integration into daily, life. So that's one of the first things I look for is where's the client in that window of tolerance, because very often traumatized clients are dysregulated. And if that's the case, then the first order of business is to help them regulate. And that, in my work, that really is about the body, because trauma, first and foremost, affects the body. It doesn't affect the mind first, or even the emotions. It affects the body and the nervous system. So in my work, we teach what we call somatic resources, grounding, centering, alignment, and so forth, to help people stabilize their arousal within a window of tolerance. And once they've developed those regulatory skills, then, which changes their body, of course, then we go on to work with the past well, for many, I say that because we usually think that we're working with clients whose trauma is now over. Maybe they were sexually abused, maybe they're a veteran, but now they're back and they're relatively safe. But if we're working with any marginalized group, the threat is still ongoing. So very often we're dealing with clients who may have had prior trauma, but also having ongoing trauma. And I do feel, whether it's body work or psychotherapy, if the therapist really understands that window of tolerance and tracks for signals of the client's arousal going to one extreme or the other, I mean, the signals are obvious. People start getting darting eyes, they start tensing up when they're getting hyper aroused, they might feel panicky or anxious, and if it plummets to hyperarousal, people start feeling like they're not there, they're spacing out, they can't think clearly, etc. So whether you're a body worker or a therapist or some combination of both, when you track the arousal getting to the edges of that window, you've got to stop and do something resourcing, because if you don't, the arousal will just continue to escalate or drop. And that's when people start reliving instead of reintegrating.